Kingdom of Men and the Folk of the Goddess by Clagg.
Hidden within a magically alluring woodland dwelt an archaic tribe known as the Clan of the Raven. They grew their own food and refused to eat the flesh of animals with which they had strong spiritual bonds. It was a season of blessings. A young woman with fair skin and fiery red hair named Fiona was thanking the heavens fervently for such a blessing while she was harvesting potatoes. Her 2 daughters came to her, smiling warmly and carrying buckets of water from the enchanted river that flowed peacefully near their village. The water enhanced the richness of the soil that yielded such a bountiful harvest. Her older daughter was named Grace, who was a blessing to everyone, spending her time helping others in various ways, and her younger daughter was named Lily. She was an apprentice to her father, who was the venerable village shaman. She was a healer, herbalist, alchemist, dream interpreter, and the village storyteller, as well as many other things. They both had long, ruby-coloured hair and eyes the colour of sapphire, just like their mother. Every day, the men in the village would put on armour and train for combat. They would practice the use of the sword, spear, and bow. They would also run around the perimeter of the village while carrying weights and hiking up rocky hills. One day, they received word from the king that the Tuatha De Dananns, who were their allies, came from across the northern sea to make a new settlement in their kingdom. The prince of the Tuatha De Dananns had accompanied them because he was to marry the king's daughter. Tuatha De Danann meant the folk of the goddess. They were a supernatural race. Among their kind were great druids, warriors, healers, and craftsmen. However, upon arriving, they were met with aggression by the Fomorians, who claimed they had ancestral right to that land. They were magical beings and originally came from under the earth, but they did not have the power of the Tuatha De Dananns, so they relied mostly on their large numbers. They were raiders and giants whose bodies were horribly deformed, and so the men of the Clan of the Raven set out to fight alongside the Knights of the Crown. Grace and Lily watched with tears in their eyes as their father left with the others. They resolved to follow the warriors, quickly gathering their cloaks, a loaf of bread, and a flask of water.
You mean well, but how do you intend to help them?
Said a mysterious woman who appeared behind them. She had long black hair and black face paint spread across her eyes and the bridge of her nose. She wore a black cloak with black fur wrapped around her shoulders and deer antlers on her head.
I am the Morrigan. I am here to assist you bold young ones. Your father is a powerful shaman. You have strong magic flowing in your veins, more than anyone in this land. That's how I found you. Such magic within 2 young girls. I come from a land of magic, but I possess something only a human can use, because what I have was once human itself. Yet I sense no humans other than the 2 of you who have the power to wield such a weapon. And yes, it is a terrible weapon indeed. Its name is the Dullahan. If such a time comes, when all seems lost, you must use this. Take this amulet. It has the face of a snarling wolf on it. I will tell you the words of power to use it. When you speak them, while holding it to your chest, the Dullahan will appear. It takes the form of a rider in black armor, mounted on a black horse. All who look upon it will be blinded, and when it is near, it opens all gates, windows, and locks. Even if the enemy can hide, it can read his mind. Then it only needs to say the name of the vile man, and he will turn to dust. Whoever it seeks cannot hide, let alone run away. It only vanishes when every single enemy is no more.
In half a day's time, the Clan of the Raven had reached the king's knights as well as the armies of the other tribes of the kingdom and the Tuatha De Dananns. Before the sun had set, All the Fomorians in the battle had been slain. The king and tribes of the land had won. The prince of Tuatha Danann married the king's daughter, and everyone lived their lives in peace. But there were remaining Fomorians who still lived beneath the earth, who watched in the shadows as the people of the kingdom prospered. The king of the Fomorians was named Bress. He was only half Fomorian. His mother was a human named Erelu, and his father a Fomorian named Elifra. But, unlike the common Fomorians, Bress was considered to be extremely beautiful. However, Bress proved to be unworthy of his crown. He enslaved many of his fellow Fomorians, who he considered useless commoners, and made them serve the nobles, tending to their every common need. The slaves were beaten and severely mistreated. Not long after, the Fomorians rebelled and overthrew Bress, driving him from the kingdom. He ran to his father, begging him to help him retake the throne. But his father did not help him, because he knew what kind of a king his son had been, a disgrace. As a last resort, Bress sought the help of Baelor, who was a mighty Fomorian warlord. He had 3 eyes, 2 to see, and 1 great eye in the centre of his forehead. It remained closed because when he opened it, everything its gaze laid upon was destroyed. Baelor had a taste for enslaving that which was once free. He joined Bress and they returned, telling the king of men that the time had come for the humans to be annihilated. The people of the kingdom once again joined together to face the Fomorians in battle. And the most surprising thing of all was that the Fomorians who rebelled against Bress fought alongside the humans. They were led by none other than Baelor's grandson named Lu. During the battle, the prince of the Tuatha Danann, who had married the king's daughter, was slain. His life was taken by a Fomorian who wielded a 20-foot spear capable of piercing the armour of 6 men at once. As the men of the kingdom gained the upper hand, Baelor saw the writing on the wall and opened his 3rd eye, destroying what it gazed upon. However, Lily was at the battle, still holding the amulet given to her by the Morrigan. She used her magic to speak into the minds of all the king's men, telling them to close their eyes. Then she held the amulet to her chest and spoke the words of power, summoning the Dullahan. The Dullahan charged toward Baelor. As Baelor turned his gaze toward the Dullahan, it threw its spear, piercing Baelor's great eye, slaying him, and his army fled. Afterward, all the people of the kingdom had a celebration that lasted 7 days. They ate, drank, and made merry. They all knew that their story would not be forgotten. People would go on writing and reading about their fantastic tales for ages to come.